Many know that Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, was named after George Washington. George Washington was the first President of the United States of America. He was Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and one of the founding fathers of the United States. But George Washington never lived in Washington, D.C. On February 22, 1732, George Washington was born in Westmoreland County, Virginia, a county that is 2.5 hours away from Washington, D.C. 6 years later, George Washington started school, not in a schoolhouse. Instead, he was homeschooled. George knew college was out of the question since his mother didn't have any money. So at the age of 15, he became a surveyor. On December 14, 1799, George Washington died in his Mount Vernon home from a throat infection called epiglottitis. Little is known about George Washington's life. Many popular tales have been created that are most likely corruptions of similar events. Young George did not throw stones across the Potomac River, probably did not cut down his father's favorite tree, and if he did cut down the tree, Washington most likely did not confess or an inability to tell a lie. He never attended a formal grammar school, never studied at a college or university. Despite this, George Washington excelled in mathematics. This led him to become a surveyor working for George Fairfax after Washington's mother refused to allow him to join the Royal Navy at the age of 15. Surveying skills served Washington well, and he became the chief surveyor for Culpeper County at a very young age. However, Washington dreamed of honorably serving in the military. At just 21 years old, Virginia Governor Robert Dinwiddie asked George Washington to lead a delegation through the wilderness to deliver a message. Washington was now faced with a decision: to remain as a successful surveyor and farmer in Virginia, or to pursue his dream of becoming a military man. Washington delivered a message to French commander. The return trip to Virginia was perilous. Published accounts of Washington's toils cemented international fame within a year. Yet, Washington's early military career was plagued with failures. From a surrender in Fort Necessity and causation of the French-Indian War to the death of British Major General Braddock. Shortly thereafter, Washington married and spent time as a very successful farmer at Mount Vernon for about the next 15 years. George believed his military career was over. However, in June 1775, after the shot heard round the world at Lexington, the Continental Congress commissioned George Washington as Lieutenant General and Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army.
You can do it!
His prior small commands hardly prepared Washington to assume the role as top commander. His army suffered repeated losses early during the Revolutionary War. He pondered whether he should return to Mount Vernon and farming. Persistence kept Washington going, and he repeatedly outmaneuvered the vastly superior British Army. His greatest triumph came at Yorktown in 1781, when Washington surrounded the British headquarters and forced the top commander, General Marquis Charles Cornwallis, to surrender. Although the war would continue for almost 2 years, Washington's victory at Yorktown secured the blessings of liberty for a fledgling nation, and forever cemented his name amongst the greatest military commanders who ever lived.